So we stand here today to pay homage to the Indian soldiers of undivided India and Nepal who fell whilst fighting on the Western Front during the First World War. Undivided India included present-day Pakistan and Bangladesh. Some 12,000 soldiers who were brought over from France to recover from their injuries to Brighton, and they were interned in different hospitals, including the Royal Pavilion. So 73 soldiers died, and 53 of them were Sikhs and Hindus who were cremated at this very spot, and 19 Muslim brothers-in-arms were taken to be buried at Woking near the Shah Jahan Mosque.
Now, I think of the Chaatri here and Brighton as the spiritual home of the Indian Army in the First World War in the UK, because 12,000 Indian soldiers wounded on the Western Front were succoured and looked after and repaired and made better in hospitals in Brighton. Now, the idea for the memorial derived from an Indian officer working at the hospital in Brighton in 1916. And initially, with the backing of the Mayor of Brighton, progress was commendably fast. It was agreed that this land here would be conveyed from the family who owned it, the Marquesses of Abergavenny. And in 1917, this land here was conveyed from the family to Brighton Corporation.
The Chaatri was built as a tribute to those cremated here and was unveiled by the Prince of Wales in 1921. Today, here we are, over 100 years after the unveiling of the Chaatri, to remember their courage and their sacrifice that they made. And they made this on our behalf, and we're here to reaffirm our debt of gratitude to them and perhaps shed a tear in their memory. None will be forgotten. So now we will begin our prayers.
Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru Sahib Jiyo. Ardas Onkar Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh, Sri Bhagauti Ji Sahai. वार श्री भगवती जी की पातशाही 10वें प्रथम भगवती सिमर के गुरु नानक लईते आए फिर अंगद गुर ते अमरदास रामदासे होए सहाय अर्जन हरगोबिंद नूं समरो श्री हर राय श्री हर कृष्ण ते आइए जिस ठे सब दुख जाए तेग बहादुर सिमरिए वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह बोले सो निहाल सत श्री अकाल वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Here at this monument we commemorate everybody from the Indian Army in the First World War who fell. And this is a very, very inclusive ceremony here. We encourage all the faiths to take part, to participate, to come to us as a group if they wish to talk about being a participant in the group. We've got wreath layers from various faiths, British Army, Indian Army. It's the only event of its kind in the UK where an outdoor service of remembrance is held for Indian soldiers who died in the First World War.
I now call upon Bindu Vashani to say a Hindu bhajan or a hymn.
अब सो परियास जीवन का सब भार तुम्हारे हाथों में सब भार तुम्हारे हाथों में ए जीत तुम्हारे हाथों में और हार तुम्हारे हाथों में और हार तुम्हारे हाथों में.
We shall now begin the laying of the wreaths, and the Lord Lieutenant Andrew Blackman will lead the wreath laying ceremony.
We're here at the Chaatri today to commemorate those Sikh and Hindu soldiers who have died and paid the ultimate price in the First and Second World War. It's important that we're here today. We've travelled a long way down here, but throughout the journey, the soldiers and myself were talking about why it's so important to take the time and actually come down here.
I absolutely enjoy coming to these events that keep our history and everything associated with diversity and inclusion. This event is a classic example of where we're living in such diverse communities that we embrace the history, the dialogue that it continues from such events for the benefit, the bigger good for everybody living world of engagement.
Mayor of Brighton and Hove, Councillor Jackie O'Quinn.
So it means a great deal to me that the fallen soldiers actually came here way before I was actually born, and they laid the future generations, the foundations to be in this country, and with their sacrifices that they made, all future generations to come.
So the memorial is here to commemorate all Sikh and Hindu soldiers who lost their lives in World War I. So this was actually where their bodies were brought back to be cremated. And as an army officer now, it just speaks highly to me because it just shows the contributions that Sikhs have made previously throughout the world wars, and it inspires me to continue that legacy today.
I've been coming to the Chaatri for about 12 to 13 years. I came because I had an interest in World War I, but I was lucky enough to work at the Royal Pavilion in Brighton, where I took it upon it myself to look at how actually the Indian soldiers, what they experienced when they were at the Royal Pavilion. And they'd come perhaps from a farm in northern India, and then the next thing they found themselves on the Western Front, freezing cold in the winter. And then when they were injured, they ended up and must have woken up looking in the magical surroundings of the Royal Pavilion. And then unfortunately, some of them gave the ultimate price and have ended up here at the Chaatri, and it is so important that we remember them, and this event I hope goes on in for perpetuity.
My name's Jonathan Meyer. I'm the chaplain to the High Sheriff of East Sussex. I found it very moving and special, and particularly to have the opportunity to listen to some of the Sikh prayers, the Hindu hymn, and the whole range of the different faiths represented here, and gathering in that way and sharing with other faiths is important to me.
I was invited here for the laying of the wreath, which is an absolute honour for me, and in respect to the soldiers who have given up their lives to give us what we have today. For me, that means so much more than I can describe in words. So I said it's an absolute honour and a privilege to be here today to pay and mark my respects.
Royal Sussex Regimental Association, Brighton Branch, Tony Oliver.
And the history of the Royal Sussex is very closely entwined with the Indian regiments. They established the East India Company, who had their own private army. Their own private army, after 5 years, joined with the British Army and became the Bengal Light Infantry. Some years afterwards, it actually then became amalgamated with the Royal Sussex Regiment. So the 35th and the 107th both joined together to form the origins of the Royal Sussex Regiment. And I'm here today to lay a wreath on behalf of the Royal Sussex Regimental Association here in Brighton.
Please be standing for the last post.
We'd like to say that they are not forgotten. They are very much in our thoughts, in our hearts, and lest we forget their memory, we would forget what they stood for.
The Chaatri Memorial service here is very, very important for the British Armed Forces. Going back to the history where the First World War, a lot of our Sikh brothers and sisters gave their life for this country and empire. So this is important for us to remember them. So that's why we're here today.
In honour of Subedar Manta Singh, who was cremated here, and in honour of Captain Henderson, who was rescued by Manta Singh, their respective grandsons, Jamal Singh Johal and Ian Henderson.
We have kept in touch as families because my father then served with Manta Singh's sons in the 15th Sikhs, and Asa Singh continued to attend here with my father to celebrate what their forebears had achieved in 1914.
And what it means to me, it means loads to me. I just feel proud of the achievement that the Indians contributed in the First World War. And without them, Britain wouldn't have been successful in that war, that First World War.
This is such an important day, not only for Sussex, but for the whole nation and beyond. During World War I, as we've already heard, the then undivided India provided the largest cohort of volunteers of any Allied force. And the United Kingdom owes them an immeasurable debt of gratitude, not just for that extraordinary service, but also for the service that was given then in World War II. The Chaatri is a unique memorial. It's the only memorial dedicated specifically to servicemen of the subcontinent. And it ensures that that their legacy and their memory is kept alive. And this annual wonderful Chaatri service brings together people from all different backgrounds and religions, all to acknowledge our shared history and common purpose. Thank you all for coming, for supporting this event. And of course, thank you very much to Devinder and to the Chaatri Committee and to all of those who work so hard every year to make this happen. Many thanks.
It's very interesting that we had Christians here today, as well as Sikhs and Hindus and Muslims, and it galvanizes all the faiths and gets them together. And it's a commonality of this country, if you like, a multiculturalness of this, that we all appreciate everybody's effort, and particularly these soldiers who fought for the freedom of this country.
So my name's Amrit Maan, I'm the Managing Director of the Punjab Covent Garden, one of the oldest Indian restaurants in the UK, and we have been supporting the annual Chaatri Memorial events for a number of years. It is crucial that we remember the fallen Hindu and the fallen Sikh soldiers of World War I. And it's a long day for a lot of guests who've travelled right across the corner of UK to come to Brighton and to spend a few hours up on the Downs. And it's important to come down and network and talk and connect over food. So we're honoured to be here, honoured to be involved.
First when I came 15 years back, there was only 40-50 people. Can you believe it or not? Sure. 40-50 people, that's all, yeah. Now it's a lot, yeah.
I think these people need to be remembered, and especially those who gave their life for this country. It's very much appreciable to remember their day every year, and I was really impressed by this service, and it was a pleasure to be here with all of you.
So I've been coming to the Chaatri Memorial for over 12 years now, and I think it is so important for teaching me my own history when we realized that the whole world came together as a whole human family for the sake of human rights. I think it's important that we appreciate how we secured those rights and our duty to maintain them.
As a very multicultural society in which we live now, I think this actually is something which needs to be told again and again and again to our children and their children in the future, because this actually tells you the contribution made by many different communities for the UK or the Britain which it is now, and in which we are all living over here.
I come to this Chaatri Memorial Day every year to lay a wreath on behalf of the Sikh Pioneers and Sikh Light Infantry Association UK. My great-grandfather was a Subedar Major Bawa Singh of the 23rd Sikh Pioneers, and I lay a wreath in his memory.
It has been really touching. Been here for the last 2 years now in succession, and to see how the Chaatri Memorial group brings this whole event together to see how the various communities, they come together and celebrate these brave men. It really moves us, and we are very grateful to the entire communities and also to the Chaatri Memorial Group for organizing this annual event, which really brings forth the spirit and the binding glue, which is the ultimate service by the Indian Army right through its history.